You guys know what time it is. We are looking at the community's Dynasty Trades, your Dynasty
That's
Trades
right.
on today's video.
Yours.
Do us a favor, go ahead and drop a like to show some love. Subscribe if you like Dynasty content. And before we even continue, just comment a trade that you've made, because oftentimes you guys are commenting back at each other in the comment section saying if it was a good trade or not. But we're going to be looking at trades from the community. And if you want your trades to be on this weekly show, it's actually so simple. All you need to do is sign up with our code LAND at flockfantasy.com.
That's right.
So again, LAND, that will get you 30% off your membership. Choose a mother flocker tier, and you have unlimited access for your trades to be in this show on a weekly basis. Okay, someone who does take advantage of their membership with us, unquestionably. He's a key cog in a lot of leagues, making trades happen, whether he wins or loses them. That is 7 Goat Rings, and he is our first person for today. 12-team, 2-quarterback, full PPR start 11, 4-point touchdown. I now have 424 first, 424 seconds. My quarterbacks are Watson, Jackson, A-Rich, Lance, Malik. My wide receivers are Lamb, Garrett Wilson, JJ, Chase, Olave, Bateman, Watson, Sky Hyatt. So, in this trade, he gets Deshaun Watson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Rashad Bateman, and a 24 first. He sends away Joe Burrow and Treylon Burks. Where do you stand on this deal in the 2-quarterback league?
I'm going with the Deshaun Watson side. I think there's more value here. I know Joe Burrow, a top 4, top 3 quarterback. But I just have way more belief and comfortability in Amon-Ra, and then him also receiving a 24 first. I think that's a real good deal. Look, I think a lot of people are going to say, well, he's going from Deshaun Watson to Joe Burrow. That's really 1 year of an age gap, to be completely honest. Number one. Number two, I think we need to remember how good Deshaun Watson is and was. And yes, we haven't seen that. And he's probably taking a massive risk here. But I kind of said this and alluded to this in the other live streams and videos. We could potentially be having the conversation of like, dang, Deshaun Watson in the top 5 of your dynasty startups. Obviously, you have Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts. And then you get into the conversation of like, okay, is it Justin Herbert, Deshaun Watson? Is it Trevor Lawrence, Deshaun Watson? I think that's how we're going to be talking about Deshaun at the end of this year. So I just really like what he got here in this deal.
Yeah, it's a start 11 team, so that makes it even more intriguing for me to get the best positional players in a deal where you're tiering down from a quarterback.
Yeah.
I think it's relatively even. This is probably what you would need to send to get Joe Burrow on your team. I love Treylon Burks. I wish 7 Goat Rings, it wasn't Treylon Burks in this deal. But to get the first instead of the second, to get Amon-Ra, who we know who he is, instead of Treylon, which I'm projecting who he can be, and then also getting a nice little wild card there in Rashad Bateman to tier down to Watson, I do think in a start 11, it will be worth it at the end of the day. Both of these quarterbacks Joe Burrow will. Watson already has long-term commitment from their team. So, I think overall in a 2-quarterback league, start 11, I feel pretty good about it.
Yeah.
Okay, Wid Murder has a couple deals he wants us to look at. 12 teams start 10, tiered PPR. This is where tight ends and running backs get 1.5 points per reception. After these 2 deals, I have a quarterback room of Watson, Kyler, Goff. Okay, my running backs are horrible with Javonte, Gibson, Pirine. My wide receiver room now is CD, Christian Watson, Burks, Elijah Moore, Amari Cooper, Chris Godwin, Hollywood. The picks in that deal are likely early first in 24, a mid second in 25. No market in my league for Kyler or Deshaun, so I moved the one I could get a decent return for. I already don't like that sentence, but let's have a look. No, okay. So the sentence is no market in my league for Kyler or Deshaun, so I moved the one I could get a decent return for. Again, I don't like that sentence.
Sounds
but
like you forced a deal right there.
Yeah. I do have depth and 324 first, 2 likely early. What's your thoughts on these deals? Okay, let's have a look. So in the first one, he gets Elijah Moore, a first-round pick and a second-round pick, sends away Aaron Jones and Calvin Ridley. I mean, this one I'm completely fine with.
Yep. Yeah, I love Elijah Moore. You know how I feel about that. And then sending Calvin for a first, I think is a good deal, especially if you're projecting that to be a first. For early to mid, first round. If that really holds true, I think that is a good opportunity for you right there.
Yeah, I haven't seen Calvin cost this much for anyone, so I think you got like I like Calvin as a buy low, but no one's really paying this price for him at the moment. So I think
Hmm.
you did a really good job of capitalizing on that. And Aaron Jones,
Yeah.
an aging running back who's inevitably at some point in the next year or so going to fall off. So to get a first, a second, and Elijah Moore, I think you did really good in that first trade. The second trade, okay, so we don't have a Kyler or Deshaun deal. Maybe he held on to them
Well, it looks
and
like
he sent
he
away Trevor Lawrence.
he sent away Trevor Lawrence.
Okay, so he gets Jared Goff,
So you had Watson,
Chris
Kyler,
Godwin,
and Trevor
and
Lawrence. Gosh.
Javonte Williams. He sends away Trevor Lawrence.
This is interesting because with context with the whole team. Oh, I mean, I'm
I don't
still
like this
no,
one.
I'm still going Trevor Lawrence. The only reason why I had a moment there was because okay, if you're like 1 year out of competing, look, I still don't want to give away Trevor Lawrence, but and you needed a better running back, and next year could be the year. Maybe Javonte Williams can come back with Chris Godwin, but still Trevor Lawrence. I mean, think about where you're drafting him right now in the first round in a dynasty startup in a top 6, top 7 pick, and Jared Goff is going third. I was not even third, fourth, fifth round, even later in some drafts. It's just too much. I love Chris Godwin. I think he's a
Yeah.
good buy low opportunity right now, but I don't love it for Trevor Lawrence, who's only 23 and Chris Godwin's 28, going to be 29 years old.
He's 27. He's 27,
27?
just turned 27.
Okay.
But I still think that Chris Godwin it's not the right time to buy. Like I still feel that way. The right time to buy for me is probably in season when Baker Mayfield turns into being Baker Mayfield. Like, you know, so and I think as
Yeah.
well, you look at his running back room now, which is he said it,
This is
Javonte Gibson Pirine. Like you don't make so before this deal, your running back room was Gibson and Pirine. You just don't make this deal unless you really feel like those two names, Godwin and Javonte, are getting you over the hill.
Yeah.
And we've talked about Javonte being a really risky buy right now because we have no idea. We're not doctors. Even doctors don't know how this guy's going to recover.
Yeah.
It was a very similar injury to J.K. Dobbins. We have low expectations for him this year. We don't know if he will be the same Javonte Williams. So to pivot off of Trevor to Goff and not get a single, I guess, asset I would consider elite, like positionally, I like Godwin. I don't think he's elite in Dynasty anymore. I like Javonte. He's not in my top 12 of my running back rankings.
Yeah.
To pivot and not get a single elite positional asset, I'm not someone who really likes this deal. Like I would be if I had Jared Goff, Godwin, and Javonte. You and I, come on, we both know we would want to send this deal for Trevor
Oh,
Lawrence.
100%. No doubt about it. One thing I would say is like it's lucky that you still have Watson and Kyler.
Yeah.
Because if you didn't have either one of those and you send away Trevor Lawrence just to get Jared Goff, this kind of softens the blow a little bit when I'm reminded that you still have Watson and Kyler, in my opinion. Now,
Yeah.
I still don't want to do this trade, but
No.
at least you have two guys I consider, elite quarterbacks. Once Kyler comes back, Watson's going to be coming back as, if you're watching this video, I kind of alluded to that just before this trade. I can really see him being another top 5, top 6 guy.
Like to me, the way that this becomes worth it is if you went from Trevor Lawrence to Jared Goff and Drake London, Javonte Williams, Jared Goff and Chris Olave, Javonte Williams, Jared Goff and let's say Breece Hall, and then like Brandon Cooks, right? I mean, like there's different ways that this could have been worth it, but I don't think in a Superflex league start 10 we really got the most value out of Trevor Lawrence. And I just think like to me, Widmarter, we've talked about this before. Let us know. I could be wrong. To me, this is maybe one of those examples where the off season's dead, and we might have forced a deal.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Use your hotline too, man. We keep saying use your hotline. We can navigate you, help you. Like, hey, what do you think about this trade? We would have told you we don't do this trade.
Yeah, I've completely flipped this team in the past 2 months. Startup is in the first week of May. Okay, so 12 teams start 10. So this is another one of those tiered leagues. I wanted to get Gibbs in this format. I don't know that I overpaid too much. My quarterback room is Watson, Kyler, Goff. Okay, so this is the
same team.
Same team.
So what did he do here then?
And he says, by the way, our consolation bracket gets to 101, so there's a chance I might get 3 of those 6 lotto tickets. Okay, so he gets Gibbs in a second, sends away Amari Cooper, Javonte Williams, which we just traded for, future first and a second. Okay, I am not in love with this deal. So again, there's a couple other trades that we can look at, but this was the same team that we just reviewed, in which your running back room was Javonte Williams, Samaje Perine, and Antonio Gibson. So you've now weakened your wide receiver room. You've obviously improved with Jahmyr Gibbs, but you've given up a future first to do it. And now you have Jahmyr Gibbs and Gibson starting?
Yeah.
I don't like that move myself. Let's see what the next deal is, though. He gets Tony Pollard, T. Higgins, sends away CeeDee Lamb in a second.
No.
Okay. I mean, I don't mind this one.
Not in love with that one.
I'm more okay with this one. Of course, we don't want to get rid of CeeDee Lamb, but I do think that T. Higgins locked in top 12 dynasty tight end. For me, Tony Pollard is someone that I think will absolutely smash in fantasy this year.
And I think that's the thing for me. I think that's the thing, kind of what you just said. Like, Tony Pollard is going to return this year, but what's the longevity look like? I'd rather have CeeDee Lamb take bank on a random 25-second running back when that does come, because now you have Jahmyr Gibbs and Tony Pollard, which feels better, but then now your wide receiver room is weakened significantly. Your wide receiver room was what it looked like: DJ Moore, Christian Watson, Treylon Burks, Elijah Moore, Chris Godwin, Hollywood Brown with CeeDee Lamb. Now you don't have CeeDee Lamb. You have T. I don't know. I'm not in love with that trade. Would have kept CeeDee.
Yeah, I'm more fine with it because I like Higgins long term. I like Pollard for the next 2 to 3 years myself, but I can understand it. The next move was getting DJ Moore, getting Kendre Miller and a first, sending away Tajay in a first. So
I'm okay with
what is the other person thinking in this deal?
Yeah, I'm definitely okay with this trade. Essentially, you swap first, you tier up in Kendre Miller, who's a 2nd-round pick, in your rookie drafts compared to Tajay Spears, who is going in the 3rd round, and DJ Moore, wide receiver 1 on this offense, still very young, no doubt about it. I like that trade.
Yeah. So I was just reading the context behind the photo. It says that the pick swap projected early to a likely mid to late. But still, you're kind of getting DJ Moore for free in this deal.
Yeah.
Which is crazy to me. So I think you did really well in that deal. But overall, man, I feel like
this is what I would say with the Gibbs one.
I'm not loving all these deals. I don't feel like we're getting to the place that we want to. It feels like we're kind of, in the dead zone of the offseason and trying to make trades happen, but I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, with this Gibbs trade, just to go back to that, because I actually didn't really say much about that one. Is this the price that you have to pay for Gibbs? Like, maybe it's a bit too much. Take away the second in 2024.
On the side that you send?
On the side that you send. I think that's the type of price somebody wants. You send the first, Javonte Williams still in question. Amari Cooper, yes, I love Amari, but what is he, 28? We're going to be 29 years old. I don't know. I think maybe this is the type of price. I think it's a little bit overkill. But with the wide receiver, at least now you have DJ Moore. If you had CeeDee Lamb on this team, I'm okay understanding why he's sending Amari Cooper, right? You have CeeDee Lamb, you have Treylon Burks, you have Elijah Moore, you have Christian Watson, you have Hollywood Brown. Let me go get Jahmyr Gibbs, who I desperately need in my running back room. Amari Cooper is going to be someone you're probably never starting in that scenario because of how good your wide receivers are.
Yeah. Let's just read the team as it currently is constructed. He's got Watson, Kyler, Goff, which is a good quarterback room.
Mm-hmm.
His running backs are Pollard, Jahmyr Gibbs, Antonio Gibson, Samaje Perine, which is a very good 1-2.
Mm-hmm.
What happens if one of those guys gets injured?
Right.
Your wide receiver room is Higgins, DJ Moore, Christian Watson, Burks, Elijah Moore, Godwin, Hollywood, which is a very good wide receiver room. I don't know. I kind of feel like we're just shuffling the board around a little bit. And I think ultimately we might be forcing some deals. Like it kind of started with the Trevor Lawrence deal.
Yeah.
I don't feel like we got the right value for him. Like we've seen him go for big, big hauls. So I just think there are certain deals where you definitely get good value, but others where I feel like you compromise and it might end up meaning you don't get the best team that you could have possibly constructed. But yeah, it's organized chaos. I can tell, but I just like there's like about 50% of those deals I like. You know.
Yeah. I'm definitely there with you. Completely agree.
Okay, GOAT has another one. 10-team Superflex start 11. First is projected late. My running backs are Taylor, Jacobs, Bijan Walker. I mean, he's got a lot of running backs. So he gets Jacobs, Zamir White, and a 24th third. Then sends away Kadarius Toney in a first. Didn't you just buy Kadarius Toney in a bunch of leagues, GOAT?
I thought he did. Look, I'm okay with this.
It's projected late, the first.
Projected late. I'm okay with this trade. You know, I mean, Zamir White, yeah, you get the handcuff. I wish that third was a random, you know. I mean, it's not exciting. I mean, can I get I don't know. Can I get a Terrace Marshall? Can I get a Donovan Peoples-Jones? Can I get a Michael Wilson?
Sure.
I just think that kind of makes, because once again, Zamir White never really going to be anything.
We don't know that, but he just didn't have a good rookie year.
Yeah, like when I say never going to be anything, meaning like Josh Jacobs stays healthy, we're not going to see that opportunity.
I hear you. Opposite side of that is if Jacobs goes down and you don't have White, then that trade really hurts.
Yeah, I guess you just don't get the true. Yeah, I understand that. I guess the ceiling with Kadarius Toney can go so high, but it can also be so low, and this Toney does go extremely high with his ceiling. I don't like this trade. That's what I would say.
Yeah. Obviously a big risk reward trade. But I think in a 10-team, I'm fine to get like a really big impact running back on the squad. All right, Styles, what's up, man? 12-team Superflex PPR start 9, just a massive dub here. Other running backs include Bijan, Connor, Pacheco, Pirine. Other wide receivers are Monrod, DK, Amari, D-Hop, Reed, and Cooks. So he gets Damian Harris and Rashad Bateman. Sends away Jalen Warren, Malik Davis in a second. And, I mean, what is the other person doing here?
Yeah. Good GG's, brother. GG's in the
I
chat.
mean, I like Jalen Warren, but what are we doing? Yeah, you won this deal. Well done.
Yeah, agreed.
All right.
Crime Lord.
Yeah, 10-team Superflex. Didn't like sending away my first, but moving off of Cup for Olave seemed like the right thing for me to add youth into that room that has Chase and Flowers. Now have 324 seconds, might play around with during this season. Okay, so Chris Olave in a second and sends away Cooper Kupp a first and a third. And I think, honestly, this trade will completely depend on where that first-round pick ends up.
I was going to say,
if that is a late first-round pick, I'm fine with it. But if that's like a top 3 to 4 first-round pick, I think you lose this deal.
Is this what Kupp is kind of... Is Kupp still a first right now?
Yes, unquestionably.
An early 24th. I mean, I'm just looking on Keep Trade Cut right now, and if I put an early 24 first, he's in that between area because
he's probably worth a mid at the moment.
Okay,
according to the community.
Okay, I mean, hey, I thought maybe you can sneak Kupp in for like an early second right now. I feel like the community doesn't really like Kupp, right? You know, they don't love they question mark if he's going to be healthy, if Matthew Stafford's going to be the quarterback, what's going to happen. So I didn't really get that narrative from this, but in this trade is making me question, like, dang, he's still worth that potentially.
Yeah. So, I mean, where do you stand?
Oh, I agree with you. I agree with what you said. You know, getting that 24 first is, and understanding what that is going to be massive, because if Kupp plays a full season and that 24 first is hypothetically mid, you're winning, you know? So it really all depends on what that 24 first is going to be.
Yeah. If it's late, I like the deal.
Yeah.
What side would you take? Dynasty Football 35 says Olave, Collins, Harris. Who's Collins?
Nico Collins?
Maybe Nico, yeah. Or Kittle, Damian, Lockett. Really depends on what the context is, man. Is it
12 team?
Is it
10 team?
12 team? How many starters? Is it tight end premium? You know?
I'm just assuming it's a 12 team. no tight end premium. Just like I feel like that's pretty basic for everyone. 12 team, no tight end premium.
Yeah. I think in that scenario, I'm probably still going Olave.
Yeah, because Olave feels just comfortable. Kittle's not somebody I want to really invest in. I love Damian Pierce, but same thing with
Tyler. Tight end premium, that changes though.
Yeah,
so.
and Tyler Lockett, I like, but with Jackson Smith and Jigba coming in, you kind of see him getting faded out a little bit here soon. So
yeah,
I'm going Olave. Let's just hypothetically tight end premium side though. I guess it depends on the context on who's your tight end that you have left over. You sold Kittle and you have who? Do you have a Greg Dortridge? Do you have a
Dulcich,
a Sam Laporta? Do you have did you draft Dalton Kincaid in that scenario? I'm interested. Like, I think I'm still on Olave side. But if you have someone like a Cole Kmet, someone far down, in the tight end rankings, then I would have wanted more for George Kittle in this scenario.
Yeah. All right. It's from K. Help me decide. Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, Juju Smith, or Bijan, Nico, Darnell Washington in a first. For me, I personally do not care about Nico Collins, Darnell Washington. So for me, I'm really thinking, okay, I'm sending Bijan in a first. I'm getting back Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, and Juju. I'm taking, as much as I love Bijan, I'm taking the Breece Hall side of this.
I'm taking the Breece Hall side here with Garrett Wilson. No doubt about it. We both know what both of these players are, what they're going to bring with Aaron Rodgers. Just makes more sense. A 25 first can even be a top 5 pick. You got Garrett Wilson in that trade, Yeah. And I think that makes it worth it.
Yeah, you're really betting on that 25 first with Bijan to be, an impact wide receiver if you're letting go of Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, agreed.
I feel like this deal doesn't really value Wilson or Breece Hall the right way, in my opinion.
No. Got it for steal.
I would take the Wilson and Hall side. So
agreed.
Okay, that is it for today, guys. Thanks for watching. You know how to get your trades on the show. DM us with any questions, and we'll see you in the next one. All love. Now that those idiots are done talking, who needs some rankings?
Hell yeah, I need some rankings.
Then use promo code LAND, LAND, for 30% off any membership at flockfantasy.com.
Oh.
It's so easy, even your grandma could scan that QR code right there.